Welcome to Better Man. This is my channel all about helping men become stronger, better versions of themselves. So in today's video, we are going to be talking about our environment. All right, and now this is something that we hear mentioned in the self-improvement community all the time in many different aspects. One example of our environment would be the environment of people we associate with. So you've probably heard the saying, we are the amalgamation or the combination of the 5 people we hang around the most. And obviously this works with your close friends and family, but this is also going to be for any environment, whether it's a hobby, whether it's professional, anything that you are doing in life, your environment is crucial. So we're going to talk a little bit about this today, how it's crucial, why it's crucial, and how to cater your environment in order to achieve your goals and aspirations, all right? So let me talk a little bit about when I was in college, and I was, drinking a good amount. I was, partying a little bit, not really studying as much as I could have. My sleep schedule wasn't on point. My fitness regimen was being built at that time, but, I wasn't where I am now. All these things were kind of in disarray to an extent. And when I really look back, I noticed that there was commonalities with a lot of the other people who I was around. And to be honest, at the time, I was probably the worst in my circle with all those things. But none of the people that I was associating with on a frequent basis were really prioritizing their sleep or focusing on all these things to help their mental health be better, to improve their character as a man, right? And then I think of another extreme where more recently in my life, I decided that as a personal trainer, which is my profession, I wanted to become self-employed. I wanted to go out on my own. So I happened upon this gym where trainers like myself, we just pay a monthly rent. We do our own business, and that's kind of how we create our livelihood. And, these trainers, right, are going to be really self-motivated because that's what it takes to sustain yourself. And when I transferred to that environment, sure, it wasn't easy to build my own business. It took me a little bit, but I almost look back and feel like it was impossible for me to fail. And the reason I say that is because of the environment. I mean, sure, there are trainers who come through there and they don't make it, they don't survive on their own. But for me personally, I came into this environment where the people that I was around that I was really looking up to were successfully earning 6 figures on their own. And I looked at them and I saw their work ethic and I respected it. And that competitive aspect of me, the influenceable aspect of me said, okay, I got to get like them. I can't not be like them. So I talked to them. I took their ideas and I implemented them on my own. And because that was the environment, that was kind of the standard that was set by that environment, ultimately I rose to that standard and now I feel that I am on that level. And not everyone is equally influenceable. Some people are more of that lone wolf where they can be in a crowd of 10 people, in a group of 10 people, and everyone's saying the one thing, and they have no problem saying the other thing. For myself, however, I've had to really come to terms with the fact that I'm an easily influenceable person. And if a group of my friends really want to do something, it's kind of hard for me not to go along with it because I'm agreeable. I really like everybody to have a good time, everybody to be happy. And, this is something where, of course, when it comes to maybe situations where people may be trying to take advantage of me or it's something goes against my morals, sure, I've gotten better at saying no and just disagreeing. And it can be uncomfortable. I've gotten better at that. But still, that's my nature, right? So I know that, and that self-awareness that I now have about that has enabled me to understand, okay, for me personally, and I think the vast majority of people, when I have these friends who, they drink way too much, they, act a certain way, They talk about women in certain ways, behind their partner's back. Whatever. Like they just do things where it's a little morally ambiguous, and it's like, okay, nothing is really wrong, but it doesn't feel right, or they're not prioritizing their health. They don't exercise. They don't work to improve their own intelligence or get better as a person. I've just realized, I've come to terms with the fact that if I hang out with those people, I'm going to get pulled down there. Like, that's just going to happen because I'm easily influenceable. And I've kind of realized I shouldn't lie to myself and say, oh, I stand on my own principles. I'm not easily influenced. I am this lone wolf and I will do whatever I want. It's like, sure, like, when it really comes down to something that's going against my principles, I have to do that. But like generally, instead of fighting my nature, why don't I just put myself in environments conducive to what I want? So if I realize I want a successful business, I could hang around people who aren't succeeding in my field and who don't have a good work ethic, and I could try to be among them the one successful one. But that's going to be really hard because I'm around these people who I might think I'm pushing myself and working hard because I'm comparing myself to them and they do nothing. But when I come to an environment where everybody is thriving, successful, has these high work ethics, and are really good at what they do, well, I'm going to start comparing myself to them. And rather than drifting down, I'm going to drift up towards the top. So that's really my advice for, any of you who really feel like, okay, like I have good intentions with what I want to do. I have these goals for myself, but I keep feeling like I just get pulled back and from those. And I would just recommend that everybody takes a look at their circles they surround themselves with and really just be honest with yourself. Okay, like what are the qualities? What are the principles that if I was an outsider looking in, that it seems like these circles are about? Because, if you have friends and you go out on the weekends with them every weekend and you drink and you're telling yourself that you want to save money and that's a priority for you because you are really focused on building wealth or saving some money so you can start your own business, well, you're hampering yourself from your goals. You're slowing down your ability to achieve these goals because of the people you're associating with. And you could even tell yourself, you could say, okay, I'm not going to stop hanging out with them. I'll go out and, I'll just have one beer and they can drink all that. Is that really going to happen? Maybe for you, you can do that. For me, I'm going to get carried away. I'm going to say, fuck it, let me get another beer. I want to drink with you guys. And that honesty and self-awareness has really allowed me to say, okay, I got to stop fighting who I am. I just have to use my nature in a more advantageous way by putting myself in better environments and better situations. And I think this is so common for so many people. And, this is something where when you talk to hyper successful people, someone who comes to mind is Andrew Tate, right? He's very controversial right now, but I've heard him say things about how he got into a fight, all right? He got into a disagreement, rather, with a group of people, and he was willing to just go to war. It was him and his friend, and he saw that they saw that, and they decided, all right, we're going to back down. He saw that in their eyes, and then his friend looked at him and said, oh, can't you just apologize? And the minute that his friend said that, they got their hope back. They felt like, okay, they are scared of us, right? And he saw that weakness in his friend, and this is extreme, but he turned around and punched his own friend, never hung out with this guy again. Now, I'm not recommending that, right? That, to me, is a little extreme. But I think the really good thing that it demonstrates is the ruthlessness that you need to have in cutting people out of your life who don't serve who you want to be. I mean, this is something that I still struggle with a lot, right? I'll have certain people who I like them so much, and I see the good in them, and I know that, all right, when we get together, we're not having a very intellectual conversation. They're not really asking me about my life. We're talking about really surface level topics. They always want to go out and spend money. I feel pressured if I hang out with them, and I know that, and I have gotten better about cutting things and people out of my life like that. But again, if I'm going to be completely honest with myself, I haven't gotten good enough. And that is something that I don't see in hyper successful people. I think it's a really common thing that I picked up from them in interviews where people will talk about how they had friends and they were really good friends, and then they cut them off out of their life because they felt like they weren't going to be able to achieve their goals if they had those people in their lives, or even family members. And this is something that I hear so commonly from hyper successful people. It's that ability to just ruthlessly cut out, and you don't have to do this in a disrespectful or a cool way, right? You can just tell someone. I mean, you don't necessarily have to tell them, but if it comes up, you can just be like, look, I have certain values right now. I feel like our values don't fully align, and there's a good chance that that person might resent you for it. They might get really upset and maybe disparage you to others, right? Depending on their character, or they might understand, but it's gonna hurt them probably to some extent, and it'll probably hurt you a little bit. But when I just look at people who are really successful, it's just a common thing you hear again and again, that they were able to cut those people out of their lives. And even as I'm talking right now, I'm just realizing to myself, like, okay, this is something I have gotten better at, but I'm not doing this well enough. I need to improve on this. There's so many people I meet that I see the positive things that, and I relate to them on a certain level. And I'll kind of see these other areas where I'm like, I don't agree with that. I don't really respect where they're coming from there. But I keep them in my life. And, that is something where it's not like I can't talk to them. I have to, completely dissociate from that relationship. But, I mean, in some cases it is. And in all cases it's something that I can't be with them on the same level. So, what I want everybody listening to do is just honestly sit with yourself and just think about, 3 of your biggest goals right now. 3 things. And if you don't have 3 big goals, just think of one thing that is something that, I would like this for myself. This would be something I would feel excited if I got this raise, or if I found the woman of my dreams, or if I achieved the body that I want, or I got my health better, my mental health. Think of one thing, or if you can, 3 things. And then I want you to think of not the 5 people, just think about either the 3 people, the 3 groups, or the 3 environments that you are around the most. And I just want you to be honest with yourself. Does this environment hurt me? Is it neutral, or does it actively help me? And if it hurts you, you need to get out of there immediately. If it's neutral, you still should be trying to find an environment that actively propels you towards your goals. And if it does really help you, well, then think, how am I contributing to that environment myself? Am I a deserving member of that environment, or am I the one holding others back? And I know for myself, in my fitness community that I'm a part of at the gym, there's definitely many ways that I'm a good member of it. But there's days where I come in and I could match that energy, that positive energy that people have, and I'm not always matching that. So that's just a way for me to constantly get better, so that I can be someone who knows that he deserves to be a part of this community. So that's really all I have to say about this. Self-improvement is always really about just being really honest with yourself, even when it's uncomfortable. And even talking through this video, it's been a little uncomfortable for me to say. There's still some areas where I know that I should probably not be doing these things, hanging out with these certain people as much as I do. And, it doesn't feel good to know that, I might be holding myself back. But you got to be honest with yourself if you really want to grow. So self-improvement is not always going to feel comfortable. It's not always going to be fun. But in the end, it is always the most fulfilling thing. It is always going to be what makes you feel the best, feel the most congruent with your character and your goals, where that aligns. So thank you so much for watching this video. I plan on releasing videos really frequently, at least 3 times a week, as much as every day. And for the near future, they're just going to stay in this format where I'm just talking to the camera, I'm just talking to my webcam right now, and I think the volume's a little bad, but I'll slowly get better with the quality, and I just really want to dive deep into this community because I've been so positively impacted by so many people in the fitness space, in the self-improvement space, and I see these other creators coming up right now in the space as well, and I'm really excited. I really want to be a part of this community. I want to be somebody who can just not only use this to grow myself, but can really empower other men to grow as well. So thank you so much for listening, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace.